And so they're going to come up and actually do with us the same strategy that they did with the Del Mar County Fair team to get everybody on point with handling those objections. So I'm really excited because you guys are going to, be very interactive over the next hour here as these guys handle the group and teach you what they've done in their divisions to get their people on top of handling their objections and having a ton of fun with it. So let's give them a round of applause. Let's bring them up. Very excited to hear these guys talk to you today.
Thank you, Josh. Hey, you guys, I'm very excited about this message particular because I actually feel like this might be one of the most important components to actually closing when it comes to, our jobs. You talk about everything we learned this entire, last 2 days we've been here, between past customer approaches, new customer approaches, stainless steel flatware, cookware, all the approaches that we learn, even if you master it, you come down to the point where we're going to take our skills we learn and execute it to a high level, but we still get that objection at the end when customers want to walk around and think about it or take a card or, whatever they want to say. So I think the most important aspect of it is actually honing down the skills specific on how to handle objections. And one thing that we did in Del Mar Fair when we grew it from, let's say, 350 to $500,000 last year, is really focus on role playing, not just like reading a script and getting it down, but actually role playing in front of our current team members, and listening and critiquing them. So when they come down to the point where they're when they talk to a customer or they're working and interacting with the customer, they're not fidgeting, they're not mumbling, they know what to say. You have that idea in your back pocket. You know how to handle the actual objection. So you guys should have a handout. Everyone have a handout? Raise your hand if you don't have a handout. So I'm gonna follow along. So there's a list of scenarios that you guys will see on this handout. Now there's almost not, customers always talk about objections, that they always give objections. I probably, it's just really hard to where'd you come up with that? Customers will always say the craziest things, but generally they always say the same. It boils down to the same thing. So I want to focus on what we talk about, what's the most important. So before answering any objections, you always have to ask some qualifying questions to be sure that the initial objection is the real concern. The reason why, because customers will say one thing but mean a different. They don't really want to bring out the true objection. So this is kind of what I call the dance, when you actually get through the entire approach and it comes down to the closing. This is where you're trying to fill them out, have that good connection. So you handle their concern and ask for the order again. If they still don't get it, drop down fast. This idea may be that they're uncomfortable with either the package or the price. Right? So customers generally don't buy because they don't feel comfortable. Understood. For general reasons, but generally they don't feel comfortable or understood. So it's your job as a sales rep, as a CSP, as an FSM, as event show reps to understand where the customer's mindsets are. So remember, this is not an in-home demo. If you've gone through the objection cycle and still haven't gotten anything, you only have seconds to either get them considering something else or have them customers walk away. It's not like you're at, you guys know this, we're not at their, house spending an hour and a half, 2 hours, capping out, walking around with the order. A lot easier to do that than actually have the customer just walk away anytime. So remember the objection cycle. When customers give an objection, you want to wait in silence while nodding your head. When I was new, this was really difficult for me to grasp because that silence is really awkward. You want to naturally as human beings, you want to break that awkward silence. But it could always work in your favor because if you wait, there's this rule I think I've heard David Scoggins or Josh talk about that I taught my team called the 7-second rule. So if a customer gives you an objection, I want to rock around and think about it. Challenge yourself to count to 7 and just nod. Because what's going to happen in this awkward moment, the customer, they're going to want to break the awkward silence. And it's going to happen one of two ways. Either they're going to talk themselves into the sale, which happens, yay for you, or they'll give you the real objection that's actually like steaming at the bottom. So challenge yourself. Wait 7 seconds. Count to 7 in your head. Just ride that awkwardness out, right?
Or you can hide under the booth.
Okay, so write it out. So after you've heard the objection, you've digested it, they understand it. They understand that you're listening to them, right? Repeat the concern in a form of a question. So what you're saying is, you like this set, but you're uncomfortable getting it today. You like this set, but there's too many pieces. You like this set, but the price is too high. Whatever objection they give, right? So you ask, if I can offer you a solution to your concern, would you get it? And you guys, this question I've expanded on. Power phrases that were really money the last year when I started implementing, but I will come back to that. Present the solution, ask for the order. So, I think the first objection we have on this sheet might be the most important to memorize.
I'm going to touch on number 3 real quick. So whenever you offer a solution to your concern, obviously don't say that. If I can offer a solution to your concern, would you consider getting it? What we meant by this is when you repeat the concern in the form of a question, you have to quickly figure out, like, what is my solution going to be to help this customer say yes? So a good example would be like if someone really wants the signature set because they like the hearty slicer, the petite santoku, or the cheese knife, right? And the scissors. So one thing that we're really good at is if they're like really about, hey, I love this set, but really that price point is just too high, it's out of my budget. And we're like pretty clear, we're like, so, you know, $350 today just doesn't matter, it won't fit in your budget, but you really like the set. Well, hey, do you mind if I show you our secret set? And our secret set is taking the signature pieces, right, customizing it into the basic set, and at the end we say, you know, so what I've done for you is I've essentially taken why you wanted the medium set or the family set. I've customized it into the basic set, but I'm going to save you about $600 today by doing it. So that's like offering a solution to handle the concern. So I just wanted to touch on that to give you guys an example of like, so if I could do this, would you be interested?
Sometimes it's not even the price that they're uncomfortable with. It might be the pieces, the set. It could also be customers just playing games, which you guys also have to acknowledge that is an aspect to this equation. Actually, I want to talk about that real quick. So it's really interesting because when I learned this, I don't know if you guys know, like when I was a new rep, I actually learned pretty much the foundation of selling through LA County and LA County Fair Division. And when I was selling to the customer, when I realized it was a game, this customer, you know, who I heard this, some dude, I don't even know his name, some dude. I brought him over to the booth. Yeah, check this out. Did a demo, whatever. He wanted to buy a cleaver and a boning knife and some other stuff. And then I get to the close. I'm like, yeah, the cleaver is $190 plus tax. And if you get this boning knife, I'll throw this peeler in for free. And they're like, I'm gonna walk around and think about it. And then I did something I probably shouldn't have done, but I really wanted the CPO. I'm like, well, man, if you get it right now, I'll do the boning knife for free. He was like, I'm pretty sure he was like 10 feet away. And I stopped him with that. And then he said, you gonna do the peeler too? I said, no, of course not. And he pulled out his cash and just, like, I have it right here. Do you want it? And I threw the peeler at him and said, fine, take it. Give him an order for him. But see, the game is like that's just when I learned it. Customers will do that just to see if they can get a better deal. So it's your job not only to like acknowledge it, but also play their game back, but not shoot yourselves in the foot. it's really fun. Like, it's cool selling like that. So, but not every.
Save some ammo.
Yeah. So, guys, the special sheets that we have, money. There's money. There's also a lot of wiggle room that we'll show you guys how to play with if it comes down to it. So, let's get back to this, the objection. So, we want to walk around. We want to think about it. We'll be back. Do you mind if I just do one of these? You guys ever get that? Customer, do you mind if I just
take a lap?
Yeah, I'm just gonna do one of these, okay? We gotta come back there anyway, so. Okay. Right. So, you guys, when I was new, I'm pretty sure Matt can attest to this, didn't really know how to handle that. The worst thing you can do is believe them. And dude, customers are good. Like, they're good. They know how to sell. That they're gonna be.
Fall for it.
I still fall for it. You guys might even still fall for it. You guys, customers do not come back.
They always get me whenever I say pinky promise, and like, I pinky promise, and they do it. I'm like, I believe you. And they never come back.
It's just,
never.
I mean, some will, but you have to have the dying belief that they won't come back, because, touch on that, there's going to be steps to the process that actually makes it for a better, greater chance for them to actually come back if you follow this process. So we want to walk around, we'll be back, we want to think about it. You guys, the best thing to say, I think Curtis uses this a lot, we got it from him. It's Cutco. What's there to think about? And smile. I think Chuck sells a sign that says, it's Cutco, what's there to think about? It's money. If you guys have the sign, have you seen our sign? And just point to the sign. And they read it. And they'll laugh, they get it. Haha. Okay, so, but seriously, can I be very straightforward with you? I've been doing this for X number of years, 9 years, and I've heard that quite a few times. Out of all the times I've heard it, guess how many people actually came back? Let them respond. They might actually give you a high number. Like, everybody comes back. Like, no. No one comes back, right? 0. And that's not that they don't have the best intentions. It's just that this fair is huge. By the end of the day, they're at the other end of the fairgrounds. They're too tired to come back. They might have a headache. They might have an emergency. Your feet might start hurting. I don't want to go back and get that set. It's all the way. So, I'd rather find something that you're comfortable with right now than not have you getting Cutco at all. So, this connects with almost everybody. They're like, yeah, they'll nod. They're like, yeah, you're right. I will be too tired. I will forget. I won't want to come back. I should probably take a look now. So then this is where you ask some qualifying questions. Whether you want to, you got to know whether you need to hang on the set or drop down to a smaller set. Find the true objection. So, this is money. Throw in an extra peeler or sample knife or pay their tax. So when I learned this, we started teaching this. I'm gonna touch on the peeler because I like to use the peeler a lot for free. If let's say they're buying a homemaker, $1,000, 1084, $260 on the 5, or whatever it is, and you find out like this is what they want, like they don't want to get a smaller set. Like if you're gonna do it, we're gonna get the set. We just want to think about it. I got one more thing, and this is where I actually show the peeler. I'm gonna show you something that's really cool. Have you seen our legendary vegetable peeler? The reason why you call it legendary vegetable peeler because you have to build this thing up. Like it's a gadget. You guys, I don't sell peelers, but when I'm closing a homemaker or an ultimate or a signature, I'm selling the peeler, right? So, best way to do it. It blows everyone away.
Do the trying to make a record close.
Okay.
Before you introduce that, yeah.
So, this is what you say. Mr. Jones, I'm honest with you. We're trying to break a record at the Del Mar Fair. We are the number 3. I gotta realize that. We're the number 3 selling fair in the history of Cutco of all time. But we want to be number 1. So here's what I'm gonna do for you. Then I'll pull out the peeler. This is the legendary vegetable peeler. I get a carrot, guys, because carrot. If you guys want to sell peelers, get carrots. It cuts forward, it cuts backwards. You can actually make this little zest thing and actually make little carrot strings fly everywhere. The tip takes eyes out of potatoes. The blade cuts apart to clean easy. They last about generally 10 to 15 years, and Cutco gives you free blades for life. Try it. They'll try it. They'll be amazed. Oh, it's so amazing. It's great. And my peelers, you know, they're jazzed about it, right? Ms. Jones, that speed is $40. But I'll tell you what, just because we're trying to break this record, I'm going to go ahead and throw this peeler on top of your order for free. And you just kind of lay it in front of them. This whole built-up enthusiasm, like if you can get a connect, first of all, if they're in love with the peeler and they're in love with the set, this built-up connection that you have with the enthusiasm that would, like, you know, there's a way to sell a peeler and there's a way to sell a peeler. If you pour your heart into that peeler, they are much, much higher, much more likely to buy that set. And it's just a peeler, guy. If you get them for $5, $6, it's not a lot of money. But to them, it can mean everything. Okay? So this is probably one of the most moneyest things, and you guys can use it for 3-piece specials, 5-piece specials, a knife. Probably shouldn't do that, but if you need it, if you want to.
Let me go over a couple things. So just a couple ninja tips on this close alone. This is probably the main objection that we studied, implemented, role-played in our team, because we figured, like, hey, guys, what's the main objection that you guys have a problem with or trouble with at the booth? And I mean, we just figured out, hey, this is probably the one that we get the most, even if we nailed the approach or if we kind of, you know, butchered the approach. It didn't matter. This was the one that came up the most. So there's a couple things you can do with this. Understanding the response, you can actually handle the objection ahead of time. So what I do a lot of my sets is I say the same exact thing, but I pre-frame them. I'm like, hey, so I know you're probably thinking like, wow, this is probably a big investment. I didn't come to the fair today to buy a $2,000 set of knives. So most people, I mean, they need to walk around and think about it because they're not impulse buyers. But that's why I have a little extra bells and whistles for you. This is what I'm going to do, Mrs. Jones, just so you don't have to walk around, because I know once you walk around that corner, there's a 1 in 10 chance you're going to make it back. I'd rather help you get the absolute best deal of the day. And this is what I have for you. So I actually like point to the gadgets and I say, here's our gadgets. They're also guaranteed forever. I show them like some of the top sellers. The peeler's probably the main thing I get them excited about, right? Because I have them on hand. And then I actually introduce a couple more things. But I say, in the next 10 seconds, I think I got this from Jason. In the next 10 seconds, if you had to pick out 2 of your favorite gadgets, what would they be? So they're like, oh, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. And they're like, honey, this one for sure. And then like this one right there. So I'm like, okay, so just because I want to help you guys be a part of my Cutco family, and I want you guys to be happy with your decision right now, as long as you promise not to buy from anyone else, just Cutco mat, I'll personally buy those for you and add it to your order. Not from Cutco, but from me. And I want to join the Cutco family. So that's how I handle this objection ahead of time, but I understand how the objection works. So like if that doesn't do it, it's obviously something else, right? It's like, really, Matt, it's the budget. Like they'll be straight up with me after I handle it that way. So I just wanted to say that because that helps me avoid this a lot of times, especially at the fair. And then, what? The whole thing? Let's go to question and answer after, and then we can cover it. But the other thing I was going to say was whenever you stress, like, this response, okay, make sure before you present something, be very clear about, like, what their objection is. Handle it the right way with the response, and then say something to the extent of, if I do one last thing, would you consider doing it now? Versus just handling it and then offering something free. Because a good buyer, right, a salesperson is going to keep saying no because they know they can get more. So I've seen representatives shoot themselves in the foot because they don't handle the response the right way. And Mike Dowd, he has a really good response of, hey, if I do one last little freebie, or if I throw in some extra bells and whistles, would you give me an answer right now? And using that line has saved me so much like back and forth. So that's where you can close them on just the peeler, or you can close them just on the sample knife, or you can close them just on covering the tacks. And they won't ask for anything more if you handle it the right way. So I just wanted to add that because I don't think we put that in the response, but it should be. So it should have it in like, small print. Make sure you add that line to that response. That way when you present that last free thing, it's like that's the yes or no. And then if they say no, then obviously try to drop down again.
I think it's also important to remember whatever you're offering, whatever it is, whatever one more thing, whatever free thing, build it up. Like that's gonna make the biggest difference between just kind of like I'll just do this for free if you get it right now, or make it get uncomfortable, kind of make like a nervous face, wipe your head, sweat a little bit, because even though it's kind of like playing the game, but it makes a difference because they feel like this is something that you don't normally do, and it shouldn't be. We shouldn't have to do any, because the special sheets are already discounted a great deal. That's already a good special. They won't find that deal anywhere else. But the reason why I do it, and I say to my customers every time I do anything special, I'm like, hey, listen, if you get this from me today, promise to not buy from anyone else. I want to earn you as a Cutco customer, so this is what I'll do for you today. Boom, free peeler or free or whatever it is. So, okay, so next thing, just so you guys know, I actually have the peeler sample knife, how we use it properly in this sheet. So if you kind of go to the next question, so key bonuses, power questions. When you get to the close, when you get to actually handling their objection before they're walking away. These are like some questions that we really like to ask. So on a scale of 1 through, just so I know, Jones, on a scale of 1 through 10, how excited, how likely are you thinking about getting this set today? This is a really good question to ask, just so you know whether or not to stay on whatever you're on, whether it be a homemaker or galley, or to drop down to a showstopper or a 3-piece special. Because of and they'll be honest with you, like, well, I don't know, like a 5. Because if they tell you anything where like a 5 or anywhere between like a 5 or 8, really, whatever they're on, they're probably not going to get it, no matter what you do. So that's your drop. That's your cue to drop down. But if they're like a 8, 9, 10, for sure getting it, dude, you have to try something else to make it really, really, really super sweet. So that's what I would recommend, using the peeler, the free tacks, the sample knife. The way you word it is, if I do something ridiculous, it's actually on here right now. If I give you like a stupid, out of control, ridiculous deal on this set, would you maybe consider it right now? And they'll a lot of emotions go like, no. They'll kind of like, they'll bring their wall up. They might even walk away a little bit, but they might stop but what is it? Like, tell me what it is, maybe. It happens all the time. It's so funny. And that's when you build up your power closes. So, a question I got from Matt, and I think this is funny. Question before you walk away. Not saying that I will do this, but if there was one thing that would make you get it today, what would it be?
It's a powerful question. No joke. The first couple times I asked this, one guy was looking at like a custom homemaker, and he stands there for like 2 minutes, and he goes, "You throw that ice cream scoop in right now, I'll say yes." But I was like, oh. And I walk over to TC, I'm like, "Hey, buddy, no joke, this guy only wants an ice cream scoop." So I want you to look over at him, and I want you to be like, "Oh my gosh, you know what? Tell him he has 2 seconds to decide. But say we can do it because we're trying to break a record." So I walk over, I'm like, only because we're trying to break this record, I'm gonna have to give you one on the spot today. So it's not from Cutco, it's from me, but I'll do it. I shook his hand right there. And then like another one was like, if you take this down $50, I think we can consider it. And the same thing, you just walk to your manager, you're like, "Hey, can I take $50 off this Ultimate set? So you just want to ask that question because honestly, you don't know what they're thinking. They might just need something super small, super simple for you to close that deal. And so it's a powerful question. Use it.
Okay, the last thing I want to touch before we start role playing. So this is the one more thing approach. This is probably the funniest but the most awesome thing that you guys can learn today. So each time you use this, just understand you will always cost you more commission, but it will greatly increase your chances of closing. Know the appropriate time to bring this up. The likelihood of success depends on the interest level to begin with. That's when you ask those power questions, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you interested in getting this? For the serious buyer, and you being the serious seller. So, it's a one more thing approach. So, scenario. Okay, I want to walk around and think about it, yada, yada, yada. What if I did this? I'll throw in a peeler for free. Yeah, still not cutting it. I'm going to go think about it. And where you ask this question could be anywhere in the span between them sitting at your booth or walking away 5, 10, 15, 20 feet even. And you say, one more thing before you go. Do you mind if I show you? And they'll stop. And you bring it back. Come over here. So this is where it's like a drop-down effect. So if you haven't done this by now, you offer a free customized set. I customize my sets at the beginning. Some people don't, but this could be a big deal for people, right? So I still want to think about it. Okay. Write it down on a show pad. They walk. Wait. One more thing. Then you show them like the extra gadget. And it doesn't have to be a peeler, guys. It's whatever you have on hand. We just have peelers. But if you have an ice cream scoop, if you have a pizza cutter, if you have a sample knife. By the way, sample knives aren't really meant for this, but they can be really powerful. If you have a trimmer on you, I wouldn't really go anything above that personally. I still want to think about it. Then like you are pretty much at your limit.
I would say one last thing.
One more thing. And this is it. This is all I got. If you walk on it, like, I can't do anything else. Then you do the free tax. Mrs. Jones, this is the total before tax, but with the 5 pay, that's out the door. If I covered your tax, I'll do it for $10.84 out the door. It's kind of intense, but it's powerful because here's what I'll say to that. Even if they still walk away, even if you go through this whole process of handling their objections, trying to give them the best deal, trying to throw in free stuff, personally, I would never recommend selling anything below the special sheets we have. But if it ever got to that, and they still walked away, the chances of them coming back will be much higher, insanely higher, than if you just let them walk away without trying anything. I've tested this. And I think it's because the tenacity behind you trying your hardest and you giving them a good deal and them just liking the fact that you're trying for them it's gonna greatly increase the chance of them coming back and buying the set or buying something smaller if they're not comfortable with. So I challenge you guys to have this mindset to try your hardest with every interaction because everything counts. Because even if they still walk away, you can tell yourself like, well, I gave it everything I had. Everything I had. Anyways.
All right, so we don't have time for role play. Okay, we took up a little bit too much time, but I'm gonna go over this real quick and stress the ones I want you guys to focus on with your teams, yourself. So definitely in the first one, the walk around, we'll be back, want to think about it, internalize that, and then personalize. Right, make sure you know that by heart. Make sure it's just super confident. It rolls off the tongue, right? Because if you can nail these like handling objections confidently. Customers like that. They see that. They know you've been around. You've been doing it for a while. The next one, need to talk to my husband. that one can actually be handled a lot ahead of time, but just in case, that's a good one to know, okay? The too expensive, can't afford it. And then focus on using some of those bonus questions. I mean, that's really powerful questions to dig deep and really figure out, like, hey, how serious are you about getting it today? So asking the scale 1 to 10, right? Get an idea of like how serious they are about that set you're talking about, and it'll let you know if you should stay on that package or drop down. And then one thing I would just say really is, how are you guys implementing these at your meetings, right? For your training or for yourself. So that's one of the things that we're really big on at all of our Fair and Show meetings is we do 30 to 40 minutes of role play. And we want a lot of our new people to see how it's done, but also just let them get that practice in front of 15, 20 people, because it is kind of nerve-wracking when you're doing it in front of people, but it helps train you for when you're in front of customers. So just focus on that, and then I mean, if there's something that you guys have a specific question on, we can cover it in the questions and answers. But really, that's the big game changer for our fair that we had when we grew from 360 to 510, was really just not letting people walk away. If you just have that mentality of, think about this, in a given day, how many customers you get the chance to talk to, it doesn't really change, right? Only thing that changes is your ability to close that customer and get bigger orders. So really, when you talk about like how many people you're dealing with and interacting with on a daily basis, you can't really change that unless you're just speeding up your approach. But what you can really focus on is maximizing your closing percentage and making sure anyone that actually spends more than 2 or 3 minutes with you is going to walk away with some cut, going to give you a credit card. So it's that Curtis approach, right? No one's walking away without giving me their credit card. And I remember telling TC, like, I don't know, before the fair happened, I was like, dude, no one's walking away this year. Whatever it takes. Like, I am doing whatever it takes to close as many orders as possible, and it showed. I mean, selling, I think, 85 grand in 21 days, it was just the fact that I was like so confident, but I was just so mentally ready every day to not let people walk away. And so when you do that, you just force yourself to get better at these objections, but also just force yourself to be on your A game, right? You just, that mentality is like, she's trying to walk, and I told myself this morning, no one's walking away. And so you just have that mindset the whole time. So anyways, I think that's it.